subject with your Jehovah Witness spouse. And this comes to being from a recent sort of squabble I had with my wife, and really it wasn't really a squabble. I sort of walked away from it because it was really dumb to begin with, and I'll give you details of what happened. So to start with, hopefully this will help other worldly spouses out there to avoid arguments, difference. I wouldn't say difference of opinions because you'll always have that, but have a difference of opinion with a conversation and not a confrontation. That's pretty much my theme go-to line as to how I would like to conduct my, I wouldn't say activism, but, you know, relationship with your Jehovah Witness spouse concerning that subject. So the thing that seems to be working for me a lot is having a conversation and not a confrontation. Catchy, catchy theme, catchy cliche, or whatever you want to call it, but it actually works. If you open up dialogue without confrontation, you reap a lot of rewards from that. If anything, you're having an okay conversation with your spouse about Jehovah Witness subjects. And from my point of view, it's always questions like, why do you guys do this? Why do you guys do that? Well, I exactly know why they're doing this and that because I've studied the history of it with their publications, along with help with a lot of these videos on YouTube and so forth and websites. But I confirm it with JW documents. So, if I present this particular issue with my wife, she can't say, oh, that's apostate, material, this, that, and the other. No, I actually got it from jw.org, and perhaps later in videos I will get into that kind of subject. But there is no silver bullet as to what you may say to your spouse about what that would make them think or wake up or anything. One subject might cause my wife to sort of think about things and reflect hard on Jehovah Witness policy about a certain subject, and other subjects she'll just disregard altogether and tote the party line of the Jehovah Witnesses. You just don't know. Everyone's different. It's so hard to pin down. There's no one formula, one silver bullet, or method to make your spouse think for themselves, or at least, consider looking at outside material or things of that nature there. Little drips of common sense here and there outside the Jehovah Witness organization's party line. So, but with that, it's always a fine balance. At this point in our marriage, I mean, we're talking about decades now. Um, it seems like going through the years of our marriage, the eggshells, the perceived eggshells that didn't exist in the beginning, are getting thinner and thinner in the eggshell, where you are stepping lightly, treading lightly on those eggshells. You're walking on eggshells. Anything that you say could be considered an attack on her, or his or her religion, and that persecution complex pops up and erects that Jehovah Witness wall between you guys. From in my experience, that's been the case. And each year in marriage, it just gets worse and worse, where you can't say anything without the spouse, blowing up on you or, leading up into an argument. And I think some of the arguments that are designed, I think, to debase the worldly spouse's, theme or issues, are, I wouldn't say BS subjects like birthdays and holidays and being those issues there that seems to be on their top of their argument points. Just don't go there. Don't go there at all. Don't give them that opportunity to use that to debase you from your point you're trying to come across with deeper meaning of them trying to make them think about their religion in other terms, civil rights terms, safety terms, just plain out lying from the Jehovah Witness organization with the 607 BCE issue, and all those little issues like that. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at here is uh, there are some subjects you don't want to touch, and there are and also the timing of those subjects, when to come across your wife with these subjects, if you want to talk serious about the issues, and to avoid these are times where you would want to avoid to talk about these subjects. So the number one, in my personal opinion, is around your wedding anniversary. Don't talk about JW stuff around your wedding anniversaries, because it's a romantic killer, a romance killer right there. And it takes a few days, and in my case, a week or two, for things to kind of cool down to where we're, okay with each other after that. Number two, convention season. Don't get on her case during convention seasons, because that's the one part of the year that they get decked out. They're stressed, uh, and finances get kind of thin there. It's really stressful in all accounts, at least in my household. And number three, memorial season. Another time where they're all stressed out. They want to make it there. It's always crowded. I don't know about these days, but it's always you know walking on needles there, or eggshells during those times. So let me give you a recent story, and this is right after the convention season time period. For the first time in a long time, my wife didn't go. We're in the process of moving, so she deemed it fit to not go this time to save money, actually. So that was a plus. The one thing that did happen was somebody gave her a memory stick of the convention on video. The whole 3 day convention. I think it was produced and not, made up by, somebody taking film in the audience or anything like that. So, okay, innocent enough. And one afternoon, I was at the house, and she puts the memory stick on to the PC there, the big screen, and she started watching, the presentation. And the person on the screen, I didn't know who it was, but during that particular presentation, she wasn't like, totally paying attention to the screen or anything. She was doing something else while listening or watching the presentation. Uh, my wife and I, if you ever hear us talk to each other, and there's plenty of videos that I have that you could see us interact with each other. We joke around, and I say things about the society in a funny way, in a way, like saying, hey, your mom would have been a really good governing body member, some humorous stuff like that. But again, just giving a little bit of a jab on her organization there, but always in jest, nothing malicious or mean like. But in this case, I just joking around is like, hey, is that creepy guy Let going to be on there? And I just asked her like that, and she got really offended. She got on my case, or stopped the film, and it started a big old argument, mainly from her, and I was somewhat stunned. It's like, really, you're defending Stephen Lett, the rubber-faced governing body member? And I don't know if she knows it or knows this particular person or I don't know. But she got really offended and we argued. I wouldn't say we argued for a long time, but I backed down and said, thinking, this is stupid, and I just walked out uh, to diffuse the situation because it was really pointless to argue about Stefan Lett on a nice Saturday afternoon. I mean, out of all arguments, that's the last one I would want to have over something really not important. But it happened. I mean, this innocent little joke from me, and anybody could have said that same thing, and the other party that knows the situation would have known. Oh yeah, funny, yeah, Rubberface. I know. I'm still gonna listen to him anyway. That kind of a situation. But no, her defenses at that particular time period was way high. So any little thing coming from me as far as a statement or anything to that effect, it's considered a direct attack, and it's night and day. It's like this Jehovah Witness defender switch just turned on, and her indoctrination just kicked in high gear with the watchtower wall in front of her to try to put me in my place, I guess, in that situation. So she winded up not watching it for the rest of the day, but watching it while I was away at work, which is fine and dandy. Then I wouldn't have to listen to it. But still, that was a clue to me on her reaction and that particular mindset that she had at the time, and it's to I can't really push that hard to cause confrontation when I thought it wouldn't start a confrontation, but more like a lighthearted, conversational joke there between us. But it totally blew up in my face. So it's it's hard to judge or predict what's going to cause confrontation and what's going to cause conversation. So your mileage may vary, but this has been a recent experience of mine as to what happened in that particular, in my perspective, an innocent case, of a lighthearted joke from my part, but it backfired and caused some problems. And I haven't been making videos a lot lately because I don't really get into these talks with my wife often, especially in the last year or two because there were some outside incidences, not related to me, but my mother-in-law and her father causing trouble directly towards my wife and everything. So that's stressing my wife out quite a bit and causing high anxiety. Some other situation that I don't want to get into. I think I talked about it before, but that sort of prevented me to sort of, talk to my wife, once in a while about JW matters and everything. I don't bring up the subject often just because of that, because she suffers from high anxiety over, you know, these things that's happening to her and it's being done to her by family, her mother out of all people, and the people in the congregation that soft shun her in our present community that we live in. Even though she's not disfellowship or anything, she's considered. I would say she's considered a weak JW, but it's the anxiety that's making her perceived, not given enough according to their standards. That's what I'm trying to say. But she's got no motivation really. I mean, especially with the mother-in-law there, has no motivation to participate in any of those JW activities. So it's, being married to her so long, I know when to step in and when to step out and give her some breathing space. And I give her a lot of breathing space because there's a lot going on. And a poor wife, she does suffer subconsciously and consciously and she doesn't know what's making her suffer. I could tell you what's making her suffer. It's the Watchtower Society and their, over achieving uh, goals that they want their members to go through. But just a warning for all you guys out there, and women too, and family members that are not Jehovah Witnesses and want to talk to your spouse or JW friend or whatever, as to, be a little bit, have a little bit of empathy there, and consider what they're going through before carrying on a conversation. Baby steps, small drips of, the truth about the truth and all those other things is the key, I think. And I'm sort of stepping up my YouTube presence and also Facebook. I started a group on Facebook now. I just started it today, as a matter of fact, and is to help worldly spouses, or I wouldn't say help, but have a fellowship with worldly spouses out there and have a meeting point to where you guys, us guys or girls or whatever, could come to and compare notes or give experiences of what works and what doesn't work, and perhaps advice or constructive advice, and things of that nature. You know, being a worldly spouse, I am just as muzzled or hamstringed, uh, preventing me to really talk to my wife about these things without her, having this barrier put upon between us. And I really feel powerless, and results are really slow. Sometimes I'm going backwards, and it's frustrating. And I just feel I need to do a little bit more, at least to, make it seem like I'm making a difference here. Uh, my thoughts are all over the place tonight, but I just wanted to get this quick video out here to let you guys know I'm still around, still kicking it out here, and I'm still trying to have a conversation with my wife about the issues. But uh, I'm not sitting back and not doing anything. A lot of this time that we're not talking about this, I'm actually studying the history of the Watchtower and getting original documents, books, and things like that to have that knowledge behind me, so I could have that conversation with my wife about the history of the Watchtower and just go from there. I think that's all I got for now. On Facebook, the YouTube group, Facebook group rather, is the Worldly Spouse Facebook group. Please have discretion with your identity. I will or try to respond to posts and contacts and stuff like that, but I will not divulge my personal information whatsoever. I'm still going to be hidden, and I just got to protect my family, because anybody could befriend me, and if I get too sloppy about my identity, it could be a JW troll that gets that information, and the community is real small. They could find out exactly where I'm at, what congregation, or get to my wife, and that is spiritual endangerment on from her perspective, or the elder will persuade her that is spiritual endangerment, and they would try to convince her to divorce me because of that. So it could spiral down, it could spiral out of control just as fast. So if you do join the Facebook group, I would advise you to use a sock account, or some throwaway account with some anonymous name on there, and fellowship that way, so you can protect yourself and your identity, and most of all, still be in that fighting distance from within, rather than fighting from outside, where divorce or things like that will prevent you from having close proximity to your kids or your wife. It'll make things way harder. So that's my first uh, word of advice to all you worldly spouses out there. Protect your identity, protect your family. Don't trust anyone. I'm sorry. And what prompted me to make this change is I did have some people try to contact me to fellowship in that regard, either email or things of that nature, and I was just too scared to divulge too much of my information, and I just couldn't do it. I just needed that distance from everyone because you know, you just don't know the people out there. And even though I may look at your page and you see, or your history or things like that, I may have a good sense of this person might be okay, but still, why put myself in under that, you know, um, risk? So that is the reason why. But with this, hopefully, we could, have a voice for all us worldly spouses out there that really does not have a voice out there. We're a really small minority out there, and I think the methodologies out there that exist to help you talk to your JW spouse is beneficial. So you could react to a certain situation with love instead of the toxic sort of reaction that watchtower publications and videos portray us worldly people on how to react to a certain situations. So I'm rambling. Till the next video. Thank you. Oh, and there's nothing on my Facebook page so far. Nothing whatsoever. So hopefully that would change and for the better, to help people out there that needs some support, some more support. We are out there and we can help each other.